guys, let's get right into it. So I'm coming to you guys with this episode because the season has been boring and I thought it wasn't going to be. I heard really good things in the production streets about like this show being very interesting because Kenya is back and there's going to be some drama or whatever. But I haven't seen anything and I just have not been or like felt like reviewing it, but this episode gave me a little bit more and I wanted to get in early because I feel like the next episode and a few more episodes before Christmas is going to really bring it before we do the little break that these shows normally do and then come back the first week of January. I think this season is going to pick up a bit more after this episode. So I wanted to get in now and talk to you guys about what, I saw happen this episode so we can be, caught up when the drama really start trickling down. Can I just say, I love that we get to see Portia and Kenya here. You know what I mean? From where they were before when Kenya was tormenting that girl on those seasons, because she was. But this is the thing, right? Kenya came in to do her job. So when people are very critical of Kenya and Marlo, I'm just like, guys, you have to realize there are people who are literally paid to cause drama on these kinds of shows, these reality TV shows. They can't film the day-to-day happenings of their lives because the show would be boring. So they get away with calling it reality TV because they're using the ladies' actual names and, their actual jobs and things of that nature and filming in their actual homes, some of them. That's about it. That's the only thing. And then sometimes real life does happen while you're filming the show. So that's why they get to call it reality TV. But guys, to be quite honest with you, these shows are just as staged as some of your scripted sitcoms. Back to what I was saying. I love the fact that Kenya and Portia are here because they just were really in a terrible place. I love the fact that these two are here. They're able to show grown women evolving, growing and learning from their mistakes. And they're able to come together and form some kind of friendship and really bond with the fact that they're mothers. So they meet at this jitterbug class. I'm guessing it's a class where you dance with your child or whatever. Ladies are there hanging out together, bonding with their daughters. Nothing much happened, right? But I just wanted to talk about how Kenya and this baby, the way Kenya was like holding her daughter and she was like, burping her and she was talking to Portia. She was like, yeah, I can't, I'm waiting to see him, but he not affectionate. I was like, oh my gosh, Kenya. The baby was just shaking. I was like, girl, put the baby in the walker and just have a conversation. I don't think she was hurting her child, but it was just like, just to look at the baby because she couldn't see. The baby was faced away from her and I'm just like, oh my goodness. When Mark see this footage, he's going to have a fit because he love that baby more than Kenya. Allegedly. Let's talk about that. I don't think this is real. I don't think this is real. I think that Kenya is happy and in love. That's what I think. I think she is happy and in love. She's a new mom and she is living her best life. However, she has a show where she is contractually obligated to show and share all of her life. Mark is a huge part of her life, but he doesn't want to be on the show. So I feel like, in my opinion, that she is faking issues in the relationship so that she can have a reasonable explanation for why he isn't around. So he's not around because we're having problems. And then she can play this up the whole season. Mark flies back and in for 1 or 2 episodes and flies back. Then Kenya can go and run to the women and say, well, Mark's not here, or Mark didn't want to stay because we're having issues. He doesn't love me. He loves the baby, and blah, 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 and all of this stuff. And then when the season wraps, she goes back to New York City and she lives in marital bliss with Mark and her new daughter. That's what I think is happening. And honestly, I think it's genius. I think it's genius. If the network doesn't catch on, she got a good thing working for her because she doesn't have to put her relationship in jeopardy. She still collects a check. Mark gets a check. She can use this huge platform to advertise all of the things that she has going on in her life, make a double coin off of that, and not put her relationship in jeopardy. It's very smart. It's very smart to do if you're on a show that requires all of this of you and you have somebody in your life who is a huge part of your life who doesn't want that. You know what I mean? So you can still have it all. You can have your great job and you can still keep your relationship intact. You just got to fake like you have issues. And I think Mark loves her enough that he will go along with it and then probably come into the show when it's time for him to talk about his business ventures, because that's a commercial for all of the things that he has going on as well. That's what I think is happening here. I'm not hating. I think it's genius. I absolutely think it's genius. It's just unfortunate that I can see her playing her hand. My only advice to Kenya would just be a little bit more discreet. Have a better poker face with this situation. So Kandi moves Riley into a $5,500 a month apartment in New York City so that she can do a summer internship with her lawyer. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea for Riley if this is something that she wants to go into. And her mother has the resources, so why not use the resources to give your kid a leg up in life? If you have it, there's no problem with it. People have issues with her getting a Porsche, like Todd. He has an issue with her getting a Porsche for, I think, her 16th birthday. And then he has an issue with her getting this really nice apartment. But think about it. If you have money, would you want your kid slumming it in one of the toughest cities in the world to live in? Absolutely not. New York is just hard. It is a hard place to survive. That's why they always say, if you can make it in New York City, you can make it anywhere. Why would you want to apply additional pressure of housing onto your child who already has a really difficult time with dealing with issues? You know what I mean? It seems like she's finally getting to a place where she's no longer, really being tormented by the fact that her father is in her life. And now she's accepting that Todd is a part of her life now because her mother has married him. And now she has a little brother by way of his semen. You know what I mean? I tried to say it another way. It just, you know what I mean? So she's getting to the point in her life where she's able to start to handle things. If I was Riley's mom, I wouldn't send Riley to New York City, right? But I ain't got Kandi's money. If you're gonna send somebody like Riley to New York City, you gotta put her in a nice apartment. You gotta put her in an apartment with a doorman. You gotta put her in a nice neighborhood. You gotta make sure you give her enough money to get back and forth from the internship and back. You also have to send her with somebody who could probably hack that city to watch and protect your child. That's just the reality of, raising a Riley. I think it makes perfect sense because Riley's not a regular kid. She's a rich kid. Her mother is somebody who has a lot of money, and not only does she have money, she's on a popular TV show. This kid don't need to be in the Bronx fighting scammers and rats and pimps. You know what I mean? And no shade, I lived in the Bronx. I know what I'm talking about, okay? I used to have to walk through the projects to get to the 5 to go to my job at 34th Street. Listen, that city was rough, but it made me who I am. I could not have done LA without doing New York City. But I'm somebody from the Philadelphia inner city. You know what I mean? I ain't come from nothing, so I knew how to hustle. Riley don't know that life. Put her in a nice little high-rise apartment in Manhattan. That's what that kid is built for. Why would you want to send her to a place where she can fail? And she gonna fail hard. In New York City, they will eat her alive. Let me tell you something. Even with money, that city gonna eat her up for points, okay? Riley is gonna go through it, Todd, because that's what he wants. He wants her to have some kind of struggle. She's going to struggle in New York City. Don't make it harder for the girl. And speaking of Todd wanting to make kids struggle, why does he keep on blocking his daughter's blessings? Like Kandi, for the last 2 or 3 seasons, has been saying that she has wanted to do stuff for Todd's daughter. And Todd is just like, no, she's not gonna, don't give her that, don't do that, don't give. And I just feel like it's such a weird dynamic because she's watching Kandi shower her child, which she should, right? Knowing that she could get the same thing, but her father doesn't want it for her. That's just weird. That's just what you have. Your wife wants to shower your child as she's her own. Why don't you let her do that? I feel like he constantly puts this block in between Kandi and his daughter, and I don't think it's because it's what he wants. I think it's because he's going off of what Kandi is doing with Riley, because Todd doesn't feel like he can talk to Riley. He has said it before. He said that Kandi is just like, well, this is my child, and this is what we do, and this is how we have been doing it before you came into the spotlight. So I think he's trying to do the same thing with his daughter. It's just like, well, this is what I do with my child. And I don't know, I just don't feel like it's working. It doesn't it just seems like a bunch of confusion that you guys are in the same house raising 2 kids separately and now 2 kids together. I feel like it's going to cause some kind of friction and resentment within the sibling circle. And I think that's the last thing that they need. They all need to be unified, and if you're all going to raise them together, then you both should care for them the same. Take the step out of it and just be a family. Giovanna from Clark, Atlanta. Is it Giovanna or Ivana? Whatever. I like her. I liked her last season. I like her now. This show needs somebody who is going to be messy. Kenya is back, right? Kenya is back playing the villain. She's not going to play the villain full out. Motherhood and just being in love has changed her. It really, really has. Because I would have never expected her to be sitting down with Portia at a Baby and Me class, you know, bonding over being mothers. She's just not going to be the same person. You are not going to get this villain out of Kenya unless the network really pushes for that, right? But I don't think they will, because she has evolved, she has changed. I think they need somebody who is hungry, young, and ready to, let's be real, cut the coon for the cameras. And I think that Giovanna will give it. She was auditioning last season. I feel like she's auditioning again. And I think we're going to see her with the peach next season. Not Marlo. So sad that she will never get a peach. That's so sad, because there has to be, because Andy said it in his interview with Kandi. He said that there's not a unified consensus amongst the group that they want Marlo to, you know, hold a peach as well. And I think that's unfortunate. I don't think that it's Kandi. I don't think that it's Cynthia. No. It could be Cynthia, but I don't think it's Nene. I think that Kandi and Nene have always fought for her to get a peach. I think it's the rest of the girls who just won't make it happen. And I think that Marlo is going to have to make it work with Eva to get a peach next season. But I don't think it's going to happen. That's unfortunate, because she brings it. She brings it more than the cast members. So it's unfortunate that Giovanna may get a peach over Marlo, but listen, that's show business. So Giovanna is meeting with Cynthia at the wine bar, and she's been meeting with her a lot, you know, doing Instagram pics with her. They do all that stuff with people who will potentially be on the show to see how they test with the audience. So she was meeting with Cynthia at the wine cellar, at her wine cellar or bar or whatever. And I guess Cynthia was just venting to her. But everything that Cynthia said, she took back to Nene. Smart. Here is why. Nene is the top dog, right? You got to get in good with her to maybe not get a peach. Sorry, Marlo. But you got to get in good with her to stay on the show. Because you can say whatever you want about that woman, but she has Andy's heart. Andy loves her. She is a cash cow for that show. She's a cash cow for Bravo. She brings that boy corn. So she doesn't have the final say, but she does have a say in who is going to be on this show. So she's buddying up to Nene, and she'll probably do that for maybe 3 to 4 seasons and then step out on her own. But right now, Nene has her fate in her hands. So she doesn't mind throwing Cynthia under the bus, because Cynthia got problems with Nene. So she goes back and tells Nene everything that Cynthia said at the wine bar. And she was very one-sided, like really giving Nene this information, relaying it back to her. But I felt like she was adding on some sauce or whatever to really rile Nene up and let her know that she was like on her side as her friend. Because even Nene mentioned it in her confessional, how good of a friend that she has been to her during this process. And I'm just like, she's not your friend, sis. She's just trying to get on the show. But Nene ain't a friend to her either. They just doing what they have to do to make a show for us to make it entertaining, and we thank them for it. Oh gosh, so now Nene is offended by everything that Cynthia says, and she's trying to do all this crying, and it's just like, I need them to fix this. You know what I mean? Nene and Cynthia have been on the outs, off and on, off and on, off and on. We're tired of it. You know, we've seen it before. We've seen you guys fall out. We've seen you guys make up. Y'all got to be done. Y'all either got to break up and don't be friends anymore, or make up and don't be here again. We're tired of it. It's getting stale. It's getting boring. I find myself fast forwarding through the both of y'all scenes, talking about this fake fight. I'm over it. I'm over it. Y'all too old to be at this point in your relationship with girlfriends. Like, at this age, you should know who's your ride or die. You should have your circle set. It should be smooth sailing from here on out. It's not supposed to get messy for you guys again until you're at the old folks' home, because everybody knows that there ain't nothing messier than an old folks' home. My grandmother was in so many fights and love triangles, guys. if I can get some willing participants, I would have a reality show just based off all of the mess that goes down in old folks' homes. Let me tell you something. Them seniors are messy and horny. So now we're at Cynthia's annual Bailey Q. I guess because the last two have been so messy, the network was like, let's keep this up. So now it's an annual thing. Can I just say, Cynthia, what in the Section 8 is going on with your hors d'oeuvres? Baked beans, hot dogs. I was just like, is this a 4th of July party in the ghetto or a child birthday party? For these women to be all about money and sophistication, like you're supposed to have a nice court and you're supposed to flaunt it to be on these shows, Cynthia. I mean, the food was like in Dollar General, 10 pans. Can we talk about how that chef is taking your money, Cynthia? That chef is robbing you. When I saw that dude in a chef's coat put a burnt burger in between some Hawaiian butter rolls and then put a toothpick cherry tomato through it and just backed off like that was perfection, Cynthia, you can't do the Bailey Q on a budget no more. No ma'am. You have money. You want to start to show us some sophistication or get the show to pay for it. This show pays for everything. Y'all, well, you know what? One of these days, I'll just give you guys a breakdown of reality TV. We'll go behind the lens, We'll break the fourth wall, and I'll tell y'all how it all goes down. And I'll give y'all tea that I can give y'all without getting sued from some of these reality TV shows. But why didn't you just get the network to cater? Why didn't you just get the network or the show to cater this event? You're in your kitchen dumping baked beans out of a Dollar General tin can while that chef takes your money. When that dude stepped back and looked at that slider, that DIY slider, and put that cherry tomato on it with a toothpick like he did something, child. And those 4th of July supermarket cupcakes, Cynthia, he robbing you, sis. He robbing you. Okay, so all of the ladies have now arrived, and while Portia is setting up her daycare in Cynthia's living room, everybody is talking about the issues that Eva had with Kenya and about the whole energy thing. And listen, Eva, I was on your side, right? Because I understand everything that she said. She said, I have never met her before. We never hung out. So I don't want to bring my child to a place where I don't know the energy. Like, I don't know what's happening here. And I think what she was saying was that this is my job. This is a TV show. When we all get together, it get buck. And I don't want to bring my kids to an environment where I know there might be some fighting or whatever, even if there's kids. These women get into it. So I understand, especially if she's heard some things or probably watched the show and saw how Kenya was. She was a little apprehensive. So she wanted to meet her first and then decide if she's going to do the kid thing. I get it. I totally understand it. But the show is messy, so it got back to her in a different way, right? But Eva, did you have to make that nasty comment about, oh, well, you know what? This is what you do when you have kids. Maybe she don't know because she had a late in life baby. Why do you cut so low? Like, Eva's shade is just sometimes so brutal and unwarranted. It makes it very hard to root for her because we all watched the season where Kenya was struggling to have a child. That's why everybody talks about how Phaedra read Kenya down. I get it. She did, right? I just, as a woman, I would never comment another woman's fertility. That to me, that's beyond low. That's beyond low. We as women know the shame that is put on women who don't want to have kids, put on women who can have kids, put on women who have too many kids. Like, I'll come for your edges. You know what I mean? I'll come for your jacked up acrylics. I'll even come for your man, but I won't come for your kids or your womb. That's off limits to me. And if you watch the season and you got something from Kenya, enough for you to not to want to bring your child around her until you met her, then you watched enough of the season to know that she was having problems conceiving. So to say something like that was her choice to have a late in life. The girl was trying, I don't know. I just felt like she knew that would hurt and it would cut deep. So she said it. It's the same way when those girls get into it with Kenya, and because they can't best her in a war of words, they'll just go really low and they'll say something about her not having a good relationship with her mom. It's like, she coming at your weave. Why you coming at the fact that her mother don't want her? Like, and y'all know I always say, don't get mad at me because I brought a gun to a knife fight. You know what I mean? Like, it's a war of words. It is what it is. But there's levels to this. It just was unwarranted. And I was really upset with the ladies for nobody checking that and being like, we're not going to talk about that. You know that she had an issue, Eva. Like, don't do that. Eva's shade is just low. It's low to the point where it's not even shade. It's just, she's just insulting people. She's just insulting people just to insult. And it's ugly. And it's sad coming from somebody who's so pretty and got beautiful babies. You shouldn't have such a nasty mouth. Oh, I know you're going through it because that baby father, that Kevin McCall. Woo, child. How did y'all get together? Before I move on, Tanya, I sis, why is you here? You are just too sophisticated for this group. I always will say this, and every time I see her, I will say this. Tanya does not belong on this show. She belongs on Beverly Hills, in my opinion. I think she's more fit for that show. I feel like just her mannerisms, her fashions, and her tax bracket are in Beverly Hills. She is a Beverly Hills girl. Andy, maybe you need to do Real Housewives of Silicon Valley, because that's money. It's just billionaire wives. That's all it is. Maybe do that. It'll be a lot of young wives too, because a lot of these dudes got rich really quick through like gaming and tech and all that. A lot of the tech giants are like people in their 30s, you know? So you would get a lot of young, fashionable, new money wives who are probably still a little, you know, street, not yet really conform to the snobbish ways of the wealthy. That would be a really great show. The Real Housewives of Silicon Valley. Money. That's where Tanya needs to be. She could be the lead in that, or send her to Beverly Hills. We can have more than one black girl in Beverly Hills. We there. There are sisters in Beverly Hills repping for the culture. So either Beverly Hills or the Real Housewives of Silicon Valley, because why in the hell would you pick the Real Housewives of what, Seattle? Or is it Colorado? Wherever. I already see it getting canceled. I'm sorry. Who the hell wants to watch Housewives in Colorado? So Kenya arrives to the Bailey on a budget barbecue late. And she arrives late with a doll to regift to Portia. This is why they hired her. This is why they hired her. This was so rude. This was so rude. But I love Portia, because Portia was just like, oh no, you're not going to involve me in that mess. If you saying that this doll got bad energy, why are you giving it to me? I don't want that bad energy doll. Don't give it to my child. So she went out there and was just like, Eva, Kenya, fix whatever it is. So they start getting into it, and they're going tit for tat, tit for tat, tit for tat. Eva gets up and leaves because our girl Marlo starts coming for her as well. Marlo had no reason to get in this conversation, but her and Eva got beef. So I guess every time Eva speak, Marlo gonna be on her neck. So Eva gets up and leave because she feels like it's too stressful for her child. But I'm just like, if this environment is too stressful for your child, maybe you should have set out a season. You know what I mean? Or maybe you should have fell back and just been a friend of the show if you can't film in this environment, because this environment is crazy. It's a mess. It's crazy. It's a mess. It's negative. It's a whole bunch of things all wrapped in one. If you can't hack it, sit out or fall back and be a friend of the show. And then I'm wondering if this environment is too like negative and too much for you to be around as a pregnant woman, where's all this negative stuff then coming from? Because she gets up and she says to Marlo, she ain't never had no kids, so she don't know what this is like. So I'ma leave because I don't want this to, you know, mess up anything going on with my baby. She always goes to fertility with these women. And I think she only does that because she knows that they wanted children. Either wanted children or had problems conceiving. Eva, that's gross. I can't get behind you. Marlo had no business coming for you, right? But that comment, it's just gross. It's just really, really gross. Like, I'm like, I can't rock with you. I just cannot rock with you because it's not shade. It's just insulting. It's going very low. It's going for the jugular, unwarranted. Eva can't handle being in a combat of like words. Like, she's the type of person who, I won't go back and forth with you. I'll just end it. You know what I mean? So you could say one thing and Eva will just be like, well, your daddy is dead. And you're like, wait, hold on. I just said that I don't like your dreads. You gonna go to my dead father? That's who Eva is. And it's just like, we can't root for you, sis. Dial it back because you have been justified in coming back with a lot of people who have came for you on this show. It's just that you just go so low, you feel icky supporting you. And in saying that, Kenya and Marlo, I know y'all got problems with Eva, right? You're never gonna look like the victor fighting with somebody who's like 9 months pregnant. You just never will. You just never will. Everybody will look at you like, back off. You know what I mean? Even if she's hitting so low, don't engage. Like, don't engage with Eva. I know we gotta give some drama. I know we gotta give some heat. I know she got a slick mouth. Let her drop this kid and then come for her. So after we have the drama of this Bailey on a budget barbecue, we get to the fun stuff, which is what we love about the show. And I hope they continue to give us balance. We get the little whole, twerk contest thing. Portia won that twerk contest. She was doing things that I have never seen done before with the buttocks. We still don't know what Shamia did. She got on the floor and they was just like, girl, you too skinny. You done lost that butt. But somehow she won. I don't understand. Maybe they didn't want to give it to Portia. I don't know. Maybe Shamia did something else that they cut out. But in my opinion, from what I saw, that award went to Portia. That butt is real, y'all. Real. This is why people don't like her. Because that's the body after a baby. Wow. I think that Kenya got the Shade Award by default because I guarantee you if Phaedra was there, that Shade Award would have went to her. You know what? Still, like even though she's not in the room, even though she's not on the show, that award still should have went to her. Nobody on this show has had better shade than Phaedra, who I hope comes back. I know Kandi has issues with her. I hope y'all can work it out because she's needed on this show. I'm sorry. In my opinion, Phaedra is needed on this show. There's always something missing when they're all together. And I have come to the conclusion that the missing piece for this show is Phaedra. So we wrap this up with Marlo giving the girls all words. And Andy, please give her a peach because she's giving words of encouragement and she's dragging them all in the same sentence. And I'm telling you, every time she comes on my screen, I am laughing at Marlo. She's funny. I love her fashions. She's just a good character. She's a good addition to this show. And I would love to see more of her. I want to see how she gets those clothes. I want to see who she's dating. I think she can give it. I think she's bringing on this idea of her being a Muntie, hoping that the show would see or the network would see that she has an interesting story. But I don't even want to see her as a Muntie. I just want to see her as this, this fly chick in Atlanta out on the town, dipping it and doing it, securing bags, getting nice bundles, living this grand life because that's who she is. I want to see that because we need that on the show because we don't get that from all of the ladies. They're all moms now or, glam moms. And I think at this point, all we have is Giovanna and Marlo. Like, those are the only ones who will really go there to give us a show because they're not moms. They don't really have any, apprehension about being messy or, they're not holding anything back because they're trying to get married or they're trying to raise their kids. Like, these are two people who I would love to have a peach next season and really have us focus on because I think the group works when there's a mixture. Everybody is like a new mom now or a new grandmom, and it's just, it gives a different flavor. It's not bad, but we've lost a lot of the spunk and the spark that, I think Giovanna and Marlo will bring if they actually had peaches. So I hope that happens next season. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank God Nene finally came back. We got something going on. I think that the Real Housewife franchise is starting this thing now where they're trying to see how the show would fare without the big dogs, because the OGs cost a lot of money. So we're dropping Vicky Gunvalson in the OC down to friend. We're getting rid of Lisa Vanderpump in Beverly Hills. We're getting rid of Bethany in New York, because Bethany said that she left the show because they couldn't agree on, you know, what to pay her. You know what I mean? And they had to pay her a lot of money. So I'm thinking that the network is trying to see if this franchise can survive without the OGs. I think they can. I think the show will drop for a while and then they'll have to find their footing. But if you're trying to make money, I would do whatever I needed to do to keep the OGs, because the OGs are an important part of this girl collective, of this group of women. So I think they're trying to figure out how this show could go on without paying the OGs what they're worth. I don't know if it's going to work. So we probably won't see a lot of Nene this season. We'll probably get a lot of Giovanna and Eva and Kenya. Listen, I think they're all good additions to the show, but I think that Nene is a really important character. Maybe take away some of her power, right? Don't cut her screen time. The OGs are there for a reason. They're really important to the fabric of this show and this franchise, and I think they should remain. That's my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you next Sunday for the following episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Thank you so much for stopping by. See you soon. Love ya.